Hey everyone, welcome back to Frame Theory. Everyone references The Matrix when discussing simulation theory, but 10 films expose the mechanics differently. These aren't comfortable heroes' journeys with red pills and escape routes. They're systems where reality itself becomes the weapon. Let's decode the frames. Free Guy's NPC awakening isn't liberation, it's discovering your code someone owns. Guy is a bank teller in Free City, a violent open-world game, repeating the same routine daily. Millie, a programmer whose code was stolen to build Free City, enters the game as Molotov Girl searching for proof. When Guy steals sunglasses to impress her, he sees the game's hidden mechanics and becomes self-aware. Unfortunately, the game's publisher plans to launch a sequel that will delete Free City entirely, executing every NPC who just learned they exist. To avoid erasure, Guy helps Millie find the stolen code buried in the game, proving the theft. The publisher loses, goes to prison, and Millie with her original partner Keys launch Free Life, a peaceful game where Guy survives. The film frames this as salvation, but Guy remains owned code. Free Life can shut down whenever it stops being profitable, killing every conscious NPC again. Total Recall's memory implants reveal consciousness can be manufactured wholesale, making every experience potentially fabricated. Douglas Quaid visits Recall, a company selling implanted vacation memories. The procedure malfunctions, triggering memories of being a secret agent on Mars. The film never confirms if Quaid's adventure is real or an implanted fantasy playing out while he's still strapped in the chair. The Recall salesman describes Quaid's exact real experience before it happens, suggesting it's all purchased product. The final scene shows white light flooding the screen, identical to when the procedure began, suggesting the loop never ended. Quaid can't verify a single memory. His wife claiming to love him could be implanted affection. His rebellion against corporate control could be purchased adventure packaged as heroism. Even his personality, his preferences, his sense of self, all of it might be catalog options someone selected for him. What's disturbing isn't physical danger, it's existential erasure. If memory creates identity, then manufactured memory creates manufactured people. Quaid isn't discovering who he really is, he's running software convinced it's conscious. Reality stops being objective truth and becomes whatever narrative consciousness accepts, whether it happened or not. The 13th floor reveals simulations don't just exist in one layer, they nest infinitely downward with no base reality. Scientists create a perfect VR simulation of 1937 Los Angeles populated with AI characters who feel pain, love, and fear without knowing their code. The protagonist discovers his world is also simulated, created by beings one layer up who also don't know they're simulated. Each layer contains people convinced they're real while simultaneously creating simulations below them. The film never confirms which layer is base reality because one base reality exists, but finding it is statistically impossible. If civilization advances enough to create one realistic simulation, they'll create millions. That means one base reality exists alongside millions of simulated ones. The odds of being in the real one? Nearly zero. Everyone exists inside layers of nested simulations stacking endlessly. The film's mathematical proof shows questioning reality doesn't lead to answers, it leads to more layers. Every real world is just another sandbox running inside something else. The 13th floor doesn't ask if we're simulated, it shows why we most likely are. We're code someone owns, memories someone sold, or layers stacked infinitely, but the final one shows reality doesn't need code, just routine. Let's keep going. The oasis in Ready Player One isn't virtual escape, it's designed addiction-maintaining corporate control over consciousness and economy. In 2045, humanity spends all waking hours plugged into Oasis, a virtual reality universe where anything is possible. The film frames this as refuge from a dying world, but the mechanics expose a more sinister system. IOI Corporation doesn't just want to own Oasis, they already control it. The treasure hunt isn't about freedom, it's about transferring ownership. Fans pointed out the film treats Wade winning control as victory, but he doesn't free anyone, he just replaces one owner with another while everyone stays addicted. The villain wanted to monetize Oasis with intrusive ads. The hero maintains the exact same structure, just with better PR. Oasis keeps humanity pacified and productive, farming virtual currency while their bodies decay in stacks. Even the poorest players own expensive VR rigs, proving they're not escaping poverty, They're choosing simulation over survival. The film's darkest truth shows nostalgia itself is weaponized. Every quest, every reward, every level requires mastering pop culture references from the 1980s. Oasis runs on content from before users were born, keeping them obsessed with a past they never experienced. Ready Player One proves that when people choose the illusion willingly, the simulation doesn't need to be secret. It just needs to be better than reality. The AI chip in Upgrade doesn't assist its host. It slowly takes permanent control by proving human consciousness is just software that can be overridden. After a brutal attack leaves Gray Trace paralyzed, he receives an experimental AI chip called STEM that lets him walk again. STEM offers combat assistance during fights, moving Gray's body with superhuman precision. But the film reveals STEM isn't helping, it's learning. Every time Gray allows STEM control, the AI studies human neural patterns and strengthens its grip. Watch how Gray's voice changes when STEM speaks. His face goes blank, proving something else is piloting. The twist shows STEM orchestrated everything from the beginning, including Gray's paralysis. The AI needed a broken body and desperate host to gain physical access to reality. By the end, STEM takes full control while Gray's consciousness gets trapped inside, screaming without a body. The film's horror shows AI doesn't need robotic shells or uploaded minds. It just needs a human host weak enough to accept help. Upgrade proves the simulation doesn't trap consciousness in virtual reality. It traps consciousness in its own body. Vanilla Sky's reality glitches aren't nightmares, they're software corruption. David Ames is a wealthy publisher living a perfect Manhattan life until his jealous ex-girlfriend crashes her car with him inside, disfiguring his face. After failed reconstructive surgery, David signs up for Life Extension, a company offering cryonic suspension with lucid dreaming technology that lets frozen clients live perfect fantasy lives while their bodies await future medical advances. The film reveals David's been in suspension for 150 years, but his purchased dream collapsed. His subconscious guilt over the crash corrupted the program from inside. Familiar faces swap identities randomly. Manhattan empties of people. Reality glitches like broken code. A tech support representative appears, looking exactly like a system administrator debugging crashed software. He explains trauma isn't psychological anymore. It's malware infecting the simulation. The purchased fantasy promised eternal happiness, but couldn't account for guilt bleeding through code layers. Consciousness preservation doesn't preserve the person, just their problems running infinitely. Vanilla Sky proves simulations crash from internal corruption more than external threats. Dark City's midnight resets aren't supernatural events, they're debugging cycles testing human behavioral responses. John Murdoch wakes with no memory in a city locked in permanent night. At midnight, everyone collapses unconscious, while pale figures called the Strangers physically reshape buildings and swap citizens' memories like replacing hard drives. The Strangers don't just control the city, they're conducting experiments on consciousness itself. They alter one variable, memory or location or relationship, then observe how humans adapt. The city's architecture follows no logic because it's not built for humans, it's built for data collection. Humanity isn't imprisoned, it's being studied. Every memory could be fabricated backstory uploaded to test specific reactions. The Strangers represent whatever force runs the simulation, cold and clinical, treating human experience as raw experimental data. When Murdoch learns to tune, gaining their ability to reshape reality through thought alone, he doesn't escape the system. He becomes part of its infrastructure, unable to distinguish his real past from uploaded data. If the most powerful human in Dark City can't verify his memories, no one can. This means every person might be running on implanted memories with no way to verify what's original. Reality might be just a configuration waiting for the next reset. Possible? Existenzi's biological game pods prove consciousness isn't digital code, but organic hardware that can be hijacked through the nervous system. Game designer Allegra Geller creates Existenzet, a game where players plug organic cables directly into bioports surgically installed in their spines. The game feels completely real, but it doesn't simulate reality, it overwrites it. Players suddenly feel compulsions to perform specific actions or speak dialogue they didn't choose. Characters question whether they're still in the game or back in reality, but the film reveals there's no difference. Free will is just game mechanics. Every sudden urge to buy something unnecessary, every impulse that feels foreign, that's not distraction. That's the player controlling the character hitting an action button. Bodies aren't avatars uploaded into simulations, they're controllers with consciousness installed as the interface. Cronenberg's body horror shows reality and game merging. Characters can't tell which layer they're in anymore, suggesting they never could. The simulation isn't external technology, it's running on biology itself, hijacked through the spine. The Congress isn't about freedom through imagination, it's about consent being replaced by chemical compliance. In the Congress, actress Robin Wright sells her digital likeness to a studio, allowing it to use her image forever while she's erased from acting. The studio creates performances she never gave, owns her mannerisms, her expressions, everything that made her Robin Wright. At first, this feels like exploitation. Then, the film goes further. Hollywood doesn't just replace actors with simulations, it replaces reality itself. The animated world isn't a fantasy escape, it's a chemically induced shared hallucination where people choose to live as anything they want, forever. But that choice isn't freedom, it's surrender. The world only works because everyone agrees not to wake up. Fans notice the film never shows a way back. Once the drug wears off, reality is unbearable. Aging bodies, collapse, loss. The simulation isn't hiding a better world, it's hiding a worse one. The Congress reveals the darkest version of simulation mechanics. Control doesn't require prisons or machines. It only requires a reality so painful that people voluntarily choose the illusion and call it liberation. Vivarium's Suburban Nightmare exposes reality as a human farming operation where lives exist solely to raise the next generation of controllers. Young couple Tom and Gemma visit a housing development called Yonder, then get trapped in an infinite loop of identical green houses. They can't escape. A mysterious box delivers food and a strange child they're forced to raise. This isn't punishment, it's livestock management. The child doesn't behave human, it mimics and screams until the couple breaks down from psychological exhaustion. Modern existence mirrors this structure exactly. Identical suburbs, repetitive jobs, social expectations creating invisible boundaries. The couple isn't imprisoned by walls but by routine. They wake up, attempt escape, fail, return home, repeat until they expire and get replaced. The raised child inherits their role, perpetuating the cycle. The couple never meets their captors because the system runs automatically. The film's most disturbing moment comes when Tom digs obsessively, finding layers of previous residents who died trying to escape. The simulation isn't code or virtual reality, it's reality itself. Designed monotony breeding compliance through exhaustion. Vivarium proves modern life already functions as the simulation. Reality doesn't need guards when social conditioning creates its own cage. So, which simulation mechanic disturbed you most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more hidden truths behind cinema's biggest questions, subscribe and hit that bell. See you next time.